TJ the Wheel Deal coming at you live. It is Wednesday. I don't even know the date. January the 15th, 9:17 a.m. Texas time, Central time. Don't normally go live this at this time because I'm usually watching a mitt. But here's the thing: there's just a lot going on with the portfolio, so I don't want to get caught up too much. I don't want to fall behind. So I figured let me go live because I've got the WhatsApp group with the members, and there's been a lot of trades going on this morning. So let me get y'all up to speed. I freed up a lot of cash, guys. I have freed up a lot of cash. So let's get into it. I don't expect a real big turnout because Amit is live, and I am totally okay with that because he's got to do his thing. But we have a responsibility to our membership here as well. And I'm the only wheeler that actually wheels live. This isn't a CNBC channel. This says, hey, tune in if you want to make some fucking money. You know what I mean? That's what we do here. So anyway, for those of y'all that are new to the channel, my name is TJ the Wheel Deal. I sell puts, I sell calls for a living. I do it on the same handful of stocks over and over and over again until I manufacture the win. What does manufacture the win mean? Is ultimately I want to own shares with other people's money. That's what's going on here. So let me see if I can pull up the portfolio and go from there. And then I'm also going to feature my son's portfolio today. So yeah, I got a treat for you guys today because I've been doing some stuff over there. I've been doing some stuff over there that is a little bit against the grain, and I want you guys to be recipients of that. I don't really want y'all following me into too much stuff over there though, because I'm using margin. I'm doing a lot of I'm utilizing a lot of unconventional methods because I want to make sure that I can grow the portfolio as fast as possible and as semi-responsibly as possible. Excuse me one second. I've got a member messaging me. Let him know that we're live here. I can't text him right now. So anyway, appreciate each and every one of you guys that have tuned in. Again, it's going to be a small, intimate session here because there's only going to be a handful of us because I get it. A lot of y'all are getting CPI and all this other shit on a mid channel. I would be getting it too. But there's just a lot of stuff going on with the portfolio right now. So I want to get you guys up to speed so that I don't fall too behind on these updates because I feel like there's a lot of people that copy me into some of these trades. I don't recommend that you do. I don't recommend that you do, but I feel like you do. So I have a responsibility to make sure that I have the transparency going and not just in the WhatsApp group. It's not that I'm basing it on his channel. Mr. Premium is that I'm normally watching his channel. So that's why I don't go live during these times because I don't watch CNBC. I watch Amit and other YouTubers and they keep me up to speed because I often wonder about CNBC's like, what's the incentive of all these people that go on CNBC? Like, how does that work? Like, how does that really work? And I feel like you get a more unbiased opinion about the macros from a fellow YouTuber as opposed to going on CNBC and then a company gets featured on CNBC and then offline I had talked to Jason Les from Riot and there's like times that CNBC can invite you on and then there's times that you can pay for CNBC to do coverage on you. So it's like it's like now that I kind of like have a better idea of how it all works, I'm like, man, I'm like less inclined to want to watch anything on CNBC because I don't know what's real and what's not, So it's one of those things. But anyway, let's get into it, guys. Let me see if I can pull up the portfolio here for a little bit and show you what's going on. So I was asleep. The WhatsApp group told me that CPI came in line, essentially. And the portfolio seemed to like it. I haven't had a chance to look at the other one, so I'll be logging on, looking at that the other one live as well. I had already seen this one because I already made some moves on this one today. And you guys will see there that did quite a bit. Closed out Riot, cash secured puts, closed out SOXL cash secured puts because I had closed out some HIMs, and I took that money, put it into the SOXL. It's a 1-day trade, closed out clean spark, rolled Robin Hood covered calls. So those are the moves that I made. So we'll just go through them one at a time. So what do we have that's expiring? We just have the Riot covered calls and we've got the Hood covered calls. So let's look at Hood. I don't think Hood's going to get to 50, but you never know, right? Like whenever Hood moves, it tends to move really, really quickly. So Hood is a $50 cover call for those of y'all that are a little bit newer to the channel. Cover call is just an agreement to sell shares at on a certain day at a certain price. So here it's 50 contracts. Everything's a derivative of 100 when you're dealing with options. So in this case, it would be 50 times 100. So 5,000 shares. We have an agreement to sell those shares at $50 on or before Friday, January the 17th. And right now it's at 45.73. So it is out of the money. So there's a lot of terminology that I'm going to start using here. Y'all need to get up to speed. Out of the money means no harm, no foul. If the contract expired today, you don't have to do anything. It would just expire worthless. In the money means that you're contractually obligated to perform per the, or to deliver these shares in this case, because it would be in the money, meaning it's above the strike price on a covered call. So I would no longer own these shares. I would have to deliver these shares to the market. So that's what's going on with Hood. Right now, we're good. Riot, $16 cover call. Hard time believing Riot's going to climb to 16 by tomorrow. And I want to collect the rest of that money. So I ain't trying to give any of that money away. But I did give some money back on cash secured puts because it was the right thing to do, because I was using quite a bit of margin to sell cash secured puts, and it kind of got a little bit out of the comfort zone. I mean, this thing was approaching $5 million on the options collateral, and I was like, okay, that's a bit too much. It's just a little bit ridiculous. The individual cash is 2.675. The options collateral is 2.780. So it's about 100 grand, 115 grand of options collateral, margin collateral, if you will, that we're using to sell cash secured puts. So not too bad. The portfolio is very, very healthy. So other than that, we've got Clean Spark covered call for next Friday, Riot covered call for next Friday, and then we've got the SoFi covered calls for next Friday as well. And then at the end of the month, we've got Marathon covered calls at 25.50, Nike covered calls at 77, and then the other stuff is in the distance. We don't really have to talk about that. So now we're going to talk about the four horsemen a little bit. Why? Because I'm going to put this on equity, and those are the only four that are over $1 million now. Y'all are going to see that PayPal is under $500,000 now because they sold 5,000 shares of PayPal, because the bottom line is the premiums or PayPal are just not good enough to be that key of an item in the hamburger stand. The premiums are good enough on Robinhood, but I didn't load up enough on Robinhood, so it's very unlikely that it's going to become $1 million position in the portfolio, because I ain't going to be trying to buy another 10,000 shares at these levels. But I'm happy with the position that we have on Robinhood. We'll go over it and the way that I'm playing it and so on and so forth. So let's talk about SoFi. What's going on with SoFi? The banks beat this morning. Again, this is not firsthand information. I'm getting this information from the chat. I haven't even turned on my TV or anything, so I'm not up to speed. So it looks like the banks said they were going to buy back shares and all this other stuff. And I think things are good. I think things are good there. So that's probably going to be good for SoFi. I think that's going to be good for SoFi. And I'm looking at this thumbnail that Alex made for the four horsemen. So I'll see if I can pull it up here in a little bit on the email. But anyway, so these are now the four horsemen. So what did I do with SoFi today? I essentially took some risk off the table. I had sold some very aggressive cash secure puts at 450, collected some money, collected some pretty decent money. And I just didn't think it was the right play to be in those again, or to be in those still. So here I collected 10,400 on January the 7th. That was 200 contracts. And then recently I had sold another 100 contracts. It's right here, 8,600. So if we look at the 10,400 plus the 8,600, that's about 19 grand or so. And then I gave back 6,300. So if anybody can do some very basic arithmetic, you can see that we made money there. And we freed up $1,450 times 300. So quite a bit of capital. That's the reason that I did it. Because I just think that in this situation, the Fed's probably going to start talking at some point. Um, I just wanted to make sure that we locked in a win. It could have gone for more, sure. But it was also more important to me to shore up the books so that if there is like a dip in something unexpectedly or whatever the case may be, I'm positioned to buy that dip. And same thing with Riot. Same thing with Riot. I have big position in Riot over here, and we have 4 open strategies. We got the cover calls at 16, more cover calls at 16, and then we've got cover calls in the distance at 20, and then I bought leaps at 15 for January of 2026. So what I did over here is I wanted to lock in another win. So essentially, I had sold cash secured puts on Riot. So I'm going to try to find those. So $12 puts. So right here, I sold 185 contracts for 57 cents. Sold 15 contracts. So that's 200 contracts there. Sold another 200 contracts there. So I got 8,400, then got about 11.5. So about 21 grand or so. And then we gave back 4,400. So if you do the math there, we made quite a bit of money as well on Riot, and we freed up $1,200 times 400, so 480 grand. I just thought it was the right situation to get back into cash. That way, Riot can kind of do what it wants to do, and then I'll just babysit the cover calls. But I don't want to have any more exposure via cash secured puts over there because we were already at like 75, 77% of the contract realized profits. So I was like, it doesn't make any sense to leave this contract on because I wouldn't put it on. So whenever you're in a situation, I always calculate premium per day. That's one thing that I do. It's like if I take this money, put it somewhere else, can I collect more premiums? The answer is usually yes. But also the other question that I ask myself is, would I put the trade on today? Like if that was all of the money that they were going to give me for putting on this trade today, would I do it? The answer is usually no. So if you wouldn't put on the trade, why would you keep the trade on, if that makes sense? So that's kind of the conclusion that I came to. Appreciate all 510 people that are rocking with me on X and the 73 people that are watching us live. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. If you could do me a favor and smash the like, that would be awesome. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. We're trying to grow the channel to 10,000 members and then eventually 25,000 members, or not members, but subscribers by the end of the year. I can't handle that many members. Please don't sign up for a membership because I just won't have enough hours in the day to do all those FaceTimes. So anyway, that's what's going on there. It's a different channel, right? I'm over here encouraging you not to sign up as a member because we're tapped out. I can actually handle like another 80 to 90 members, but I kind of like my schedule right now. I don't want this turned into a crazy job. So that's what's going on with Riot. So we're just kind of playing it. Tesla, we're not doing much with Tesla. We've got cover calls that are underwater. They're going to be underwater for the next 10 years, guys. So we got all these shares right here. We got cover calls at 340 for January of 2027. Let's fast forward life. 10 years, it'll be January of 37. I'll probably have like a $2,000 strike price on this thing, and Tesla will be trading at like $3,000. That's just the way that it's going to be. Along the way, I'll figure out how to make some more money. So I like being underwater on these cover calls because it's a nice little tax harvest loss that I can implement year after year after year for chasing the stock up, and at some point I'll exit those shares. So what else do we got here? Let's keep it going. Amazon's kind of like my safety play, guys. This is the other 4 horsemen. The 4th horseman. Amazon's just kind of the safety play. So we got 6,500 shares at 188. Got a lot of the shares for sale at 205, and then we've got 1,000 shares that are unencumbered. So I'm going to be babysitting these shares probably for the next 3 to 5 years before I can catch up to that stock. And then eventually I'd like to have maybe 7,500, even 10,000 shares of Amazon. I should have picked up another 500 shares already. I don't know why I didn't scoop them up. Should have scooped them up down here. Should have scooped them up down here. I was available. I just didn't pull the trigger. I just didn't pull the trigger. I got lost in the sauce a little bit. It happens. It happens. So, PayPal, we talked about PayPal. It just didn't make the cut, guys. It did not make the cut from the premiums perspective. So I sold 5,000 of these shares at $86. I've already put that money to work via cash secured puts. So yes, I've left a little bit of money on the table from the standpoint that now it's trading at close to 90. But I'm like, I've also already made money via cash secured puts and closed them out. So I realized profits. And when we closed out those 5,000 shares, I realized profit of about $130,000. I posted on that on the WhatsApp group as well. So if you're a member at $9.99 and above, get with me. Get with me via email, whatever the case may be. We'll get you added to that WhatsApp group. You're missing out. It's like our own little private Discord over there. There's a lot of screenshot going on. A lot of people just helping each other out. So it's really, really awesome community that we've built over there. So now, how are we playing PayPal? We've got the 50 long calls. We've got the shares for sale at 200 for June, and then we've got an agreement to buy more shares next June as well at 75. So we've essentially created a bit of a debit spread there, and then we got an agreement to buy the 1,000 shares that we just sold. We can buy them beginning of next year at $50. So that is an option that I got in my back pocket that I may do, that I may go ahead and turn that back into shares and then just play the covered call game a little bit and then eventually have the shares get called away. But I definitely want to be in this contract for over a year, even if I just flip the contract, because I want to be in a position. I want to be in a position to flip this contract and make sure that I don't have that I have long-term gains versus short-term gains. So I bought these in May, so I have to at least be in them until May, up $250,000. So that part's real good. I'm expecting to be up closer to about 350,000 when it's all said and done on this one. So eventually what I'm looking to do with PayPal is I'm just looking to sell the 5,000 shares. So I want to get that part back into cash. And I want to eventually flip this contract right here or convert it into shares. I'm undecided. It just depends on how much intrinsic value we have and whether or not we think that it's even worth having PayPal again on the books, because it just doesn't pay enough premiums. But, it's been a very, very lucrative position for us. So we're not angry about it in any way, shape, or form. It just didn't quite cut the mustard to be that type of a menu item for the portfolio. So that's what's going on with PayPal. Hood, we already talked about Hood. I'll just glance at it again real quickly. I think there's 10,000 shares of Hood in the portfolio, so that part's real good. There's 6 strategies. We've got the shares all for sale at $50, at $48. So this Friday at $50. A couple of Fridays, right after my birthday, also on the 7th. $48, and then down the road I got shares for sale at 50 and 40. So these are just an absolute pain in the ass, but luckily we've got long calls to protect the whole thing. So we've got 50 buys at 35, 50 buys at 30 for January of 2027. So I'll be in this thing for a while. I think that we'll make a lot of money on Hood. I really think that there's $1 million bill there to be had for us on Hood. So we're late to the party, but we're still getting some of it. We're still leaving home with a pretty girl. So that's what's going on with Hood. Marathon. This has been a little bit of a pain in the ass. Or let's go CleanSpark first. CleanSpark, love the risk reward at these levels. More so I like them over here in the $9 range. But here it's just been awesome. Got a smaller position here, but still decent. 25,000 shares at $9.90. And then we've got the shares for sale at $12.50. And then we've got an agreement to buy more shares at $8 in March. So we're doing pretty well with that one. Got a little bit of a strangle going on. And then we also locked in a profit on the cash secured puts. You guys will see there on January the 8th, sold cash secured puts, collected 7,000 at $9, expiring next Friday. and then closed those out today, gave back 1,400. So we locked in a nice little win there, saying you're asking, well, why did you just milk the other 1,400? Why didn't you milk the money on Riot? Why didn't you milk the money on SoFi? Is because I want to take that risk off the table so that I could legitimately buy the dip on something, or I can have more cash available to increase the share count on Amazon. That is the reason that I want to not have those cash secured puts on there, and I wanted to lock in a win. I wanted to lock in a win, bottom line. So that is what's going on with Clean Spark. The next one is Marathon. This one's probably the biggest pain in the ass position right now, but I think it's going to work out. There's 10,000 shares at $21, down on those. Got the shares for sale at 25, so those have been bringing in some steady premiums. But I got an agreement to buy 20,000 more shares at 20 that we're underwater on. So bottom line is I need a Marathon to pump to like $22. That would be the sweet spot, and then we'd be good to go. Swing trade, guys. Clean Spark, Marathon, all swing trades. So from here down, these are swing trades. Neo, same thing. Got 25,000 shares. Yeah, 25,000 shares at 437. So down on those shares. Got an agreement to buy a lot, which is 1,800 buys. My goodness. So I got an agreement to buy a crap load of shares at $5 next year. Got an agreement to this is not this is the right to buy more shares, not the obligation. This is a long call. These are leaps. This is the right to buy more shares of Neo at $5. So essentially, I need Neo to be at like probably $7 because there was money paid for these leaps. So down a lot of money on those leaps, $132,000 with the break even of $5.78. So if Neo is not above $5.78, this thing doesn't make any money. That's the bottom line. So what have we done to kind of minimize some of that pain is we've sold covered calls against those leaps. So I've got an agreement to buy more shares at $5. So I really need Neo to be over $5 this time next year. That's one. But then I've got an agreement to sell a lot of those shares at $8. So I got paid a lot of that money from those leaps over here, and then I also got paid a lot of money for those cash secured puts. So that's how I was able to finance those leaps. And I've still got quite a bit of covered calls that I could sell against these leaps here. So once Neo starts pumping a little bit, I'll start bringing more money through the door via covered calls. And then I can also start selling some cash secured puts as well as start bringing some money through the door. That way, if I have to end up rolling these, let's just say I was off by a year and Neo doesn't start pumping until 2026, then I will probably roll those contracts, keep them at $5, add another year and a half to the contracts, probably cost about 50, 75,000, something like that to be able to do so. So that's why I want to get some credits through the door, because this one could potentially turn into a real big pain in the ass. Where am I looking to pick up more shares? Around $3.75. I'm going to look to double this share count. So that's what's going on with that. And then I'll try to like get rid of these shares at like 550 or something like that, so I can make a little bit of money as a swing trade. But I don't want to carry too many shares of Neo. I just want to play it with the cash secured puts, the long calls, and cover calls. I don't want to actually own any shares of Neo, so I'm just doing a swing trade here. Another swing trade that I'm really excited about is Enphase. We finally got a real good entry point on Enphase, I feel. It's only 1,500 shares, so it's a smaller position. But we got an entry point at $70. I recently executed a swing trade on Enphase, made some money. So now I'm in another one. But I'm hoping that I can treat this one a little bit different, hold on to these shares for a little bit longer, and I'm running a strangle. So I've got the 1,500 shares for sale at $75 for February. And then I've got an agreement to buy an additional 1,000 shares at 60. So that would put us at 2,500 shares. Now that position is a lot more massive. And I want to keep running the strangle on Enphase. Premiums are real good. Is Enphase a good deal down here? It's a decent deal. Still an expensive stock. I don't think good deal happens on this thing unless it's got a 4 in front of it. So these are decent deals, but a good deal, no, it's not a good deal. Now they come knock earnings out of the park, they announce some things or whatever, then that could be different. But right now, it's still a very, very expensive stock. But I definitely prefer owning it over here than at like 138 or 140, whatever I owned it at before. So I am much happier with this entry point. And, I'm glad that I was willing to revisit it because there was an open wound there. There was a 6-figure wound there from before. So I'm glad that we were able to let bygones be bygones, if you will. And we're here dancing again. So that's what's going on with the portfolio in a nutshell. Let me check in with you guys. And then in the meantime, what I'll be doing over here is I will be going and seeing if I can get the other portfolio going. So that's why I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry I didn't sleep well last night. I had a crazy dream. You want to hear about my dream? I woke up angry at my wife today. And the dream felt so real, I made her apologize. So anyway, type in dream. If I see dream 3 times, I'll tell you all about my dream. It was a very insecure dream. I woke up and thought about punching my wife on the head. I was so pissed off, dude. So pissed off. It was unbelievable. It felt like a high schooler. So anyway, so what happened was the setting was either Chicago or Houston. I'm not sure because there was snow involved. And I don't drink. My wife, she has a drink here and there. And so we were going to go to this concert somewhere. And I don't dance. And I think it was like a country concert. I want to say the name of the artist was Morgan Wallen. And then my best friend, Chris, my wife's my best friend, but my previous best friend's name's Crystal Garza. He was in the dream and he was at the concert. And my wife didn't know that I was there. Something happened. My wife's with friends. And then Chris is with me. And he's like, hey, dude, Kristen's over there dancing with this dude. So I get all up in my feelings, right? And they're just regular dancing. First of all, Kristen didn't even dance country. So this is just a dream. So anyway, but then one of her girlfriends came up and said, oh, we didn't even want TJ to come to the concert because he doesn't drink and he doesn't dance. So he's going to be a little bit of a buzzkill, but we need him. To drive us home. He's like our Uber. So I'm like, I ain't nobody's freaking Uber. You know what I'm saying? So I freaking booked a flight, or I think I either took an Uber if we were in Houston. I think I took the Uber home. It cost me like $500, or I don't remember if I rented a car and I drove home or something like that. And I was just like real pissed off. I put a suitcase in front of the garage waiting for my wife to come home. And she was like, oh my God, what happened? We missed you at the concert or something. And I'm like, well, I saw you dancing with that guy. And then I'm sure y'all just gave him my ticket to the concert or something like that. I don't know how it happened. We had a Jerry Springer fight in the dream. So I woke up and I had the pillow in my hands because I always wake up with the pillow. I think I hug the pillow when I'm asleep or whatever. And I saw my wife sleeping peacefully. And I felt like smothering her for a little bit and punching her and maybe doing a DDT on her or something, like some shit I'd seen in wrestling. So anyway, and at that point, my wife wakes up because the dog needs to go outside, and she's like, "Hey, baby, take the dog outside." And I'm like, "I ain't doing shit until you apologize." And she's like, "For what?" I was like, "Cause you were acting like a hood rat in my dream." So anyway, we had a big old laugh about it, and here we are. But have you ever had those dreams that feel so fucking real? Dude, I mean, I was legit pissed off at this woman that was sleeping so peacefully because I'm over here having some stupid ass dreams. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, oh shit, that's the type of transparency y'all only get on this channel. My wife can tell that I was pissed off too. She's like, baby, it's just a dream. I'm like, hey, you remember that one time you had the dream, you were all pissed off at me? That's how I feel right now. So, anyway, we'll have breakfast later and we'll laugh about it some more. So, anyway, that's what's going on with that. Oh, man. I'm telling you, CPI, PPI, the Fed, Donald Trump. I mean, this shit's got me all out of whack, yo. You know what I'm saying? Just like, my goodness, my goodness. And then my wife and I have been watching movies from the 90s lately. We watched With Honors, and then we watched School Ties last night. So back to back. And we're just talking about how like movies were so different back then. And, and people weren't so afraid of like hurting people's feelings and stuff like that. So anyway, let's talk about the Suns account real quick. What I got going on over here. I can be a little bit more transparent over here because this is a personal account, nothing to do with, LLCs and all this other shit. So I feel like I can't get in trouble, if you will. And then I'm essentially just giving this money to my son. So I'm just trying to grow this account to 250 grand. Once my son shows me that, hey, I can handle this, Dad, we're good. I'll do the paperwork, get this account under his name, transfer over all the tax obligations. Hopefully, if not, we'll have to pay taxes on that shit. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work. Never done it before. So, but there's a way to do it. So what's going on here? 6,000 shares of SoFi. This is a cornerstone of the portfolio, right? So 6,000 shares of SoFi, doing pretty good on the shares, but we haven't stopped there. We've got an agreement to sell those shares at 15. So that part's no good because that's January 2026. We're underwater on those. But I started buying some leaps to kind of protect a little bit. So I'm like, if no gets paid, we're going to get paid. So even if I get in a situation where I don't want to defend those because I'm tired of rolling damn covered calls, I'm sick of it. I'm like, well, let me buy some leaps. So I bought some leaps. I got 30 leaps going here. Let's see how those are doing. Hopefully those are performing okay. Yeah, those are a little bit better and even, so that part's good. And then what I've been doing is I've been cash grabbing with Riot. So I've been selling cash secured puts on Riot over here. You see on this one, it's a little bit different. Big account, I'm closing out my shit at like 70%. Over here, don't give a shit because I don't look at it enough, right? So here I'm like at 84%. So I'm like, should I close that out? I'm like, I don't know, man. $70 is a lot of money to this account. And it's also an interest payment. Why? Because we're using margin. So let's talk about the State of the Union here. So there's no cash. Margin total is 60. Margin used is 15. So the ticker's going on that 15,000, right? You got to pay like 4 or 5% interest on that shit. Options collateral is 22.5. So what's the strategy here? The strategy here is on these leaps, I got to bring money in via the covered calls. And then I'm selling cash secured puts so that I can bring in $1,000, $1,500 a month. So I can satisfy that margin, take care of that interest payment. And now I have all of these other positions that I wouldn't have been able to afford because there's only been a $35,000 deposit into this account, right? So if we look at it here, there's only a $35,000 deposit in this account. This account's doing much better. If you look at it for a year, been doing this thing for about a year, 132%, not bad. So you're going to see there that's about a $35,000 deposit. So that's what's going on here. I did this a couple of streams ago where I take y'all through all the deposits and stuff. So roll the tape if you don't believe me. So we put in 35,000 in this account, not all at once. It was like $1,000 every couple of weeks. And then I got a loan from American Express for 20 grand. I pumped the 18,000 into it and then another 2,000. And that's how we got to 35,000. And I've been rocking with it since. So what am I doing with this thing? I'm just trying to collect as much premiums as I can. So I bought the long calls on Riot. So how did I get into margin? All of this shit was bought on margin, guys. These leaps were bought on margin over here and over here. So then I'm like, okay, cool. How am I going to finance those? Well, I got to bring some premiums through the door because over here I'm being the gambler, right? Over here I'm being the gambler. So I got to be the casino. So I've got these cash secured puts at 1050 for the end of the month. Those are printing. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we're good for a couple of months there on interest payments. So no issue there. And then this money here is going to help pay some interest payments as well. So I'm just cash grabbing. I'm hoping just to be able to cash grab on Riot and SoFi, but I am totally willing to bring in another stock just for cash grabbing purposes, because if there's some buying power here, I got to utilize it. So now I do have 30 long calls on SoFi that I probably need to sell cover calls against. I wanted to do that after earnings, though. I wanted to do that after earnings, but let's just take a look at it. Let's just take a look at it, because that's some money that could be bringing through the door. So I'm wondering if man, it would have been ideal if I'd have done it over here somewhere, huh? Shoot. Okay, but let's just look, because I'd like to do something for like January the 24th. I know earnings are at the end of the month. It's just like, wonder if there's anything here, like in that $18 range. It doesn't pay much. 17 doesn't pay much. 16, it's super risky, right? So it's one of those things. So I'm like, 30 contracts, what does that pay? Is that worth it? In other words, is that worth it? Going to create a lot of stress for like $600, man. I don't know that I want to jack with it, so I think I'm going to go ahead and wait it out. I think it's going to be trading over $16 by earnings, and then I'm hoping to put like an 18 or 19 handle on these. That way I can start bringing some more money through the door. And then I got to look to see if there's anything else that I could do with Riot over here to bring in some money. To bring in some more money, because these cover calls are going to expire worthless more than likely. Yeah, so those are good. So here I got a little bit of a strangle going on. So two things cannot be true. These $12 cash secured puts cannot go under pressure and also have pressure on these covered calls. That's why I have them on that way. So it's like what you do is you win one side, you manage the other side. That's the essence of a covered strangle. So you're going to win one side guaranteed, and you're going to manage the other side. So that's what I'm trying to set up here. And then I also put another cash secured put out in the distance so that I can just try to start locking in some wins. And that is what we've been trying to do. So now the question becomes, should I should I close these out? Maybe open them up again before Riot runs too much. So maybe put the $11 cash secured puts down there, or $12 cash secured puts over here. That way I can kind of keep it going. And then maybe once these expire, I'll put those on again, and we're in business, So that's kind of what I'm looking into. So I think right now, what I'm looking at is I don't really think I have to do anything. I want to let these expire. So that's going to free up quite a bit of buying power. And then I'll look to put these on again. I'll try to maybe put 11 or 1150 over there. I'll be a little bit more conservative, and I can bring in another, hopefully. Well, let's just see how much I could bring in. So if I go Riot, yeah, so this is the thing, man. The move would have been like over here somewhere. You know what I mean? Not over here. But if I don't want the play to get like away from me, because it's just running and running and running, there's still some money to be made here. So I could probably do something over here conservatively in this area right here, and I could do like another 10 contracts. So that's going to bring in another $300 or so. So that's something that I'll look to do. Hopefully that play will still be there next week. If not, I'll have to go look for something else to cash grab on, because anything over that, I'm just not going to be comfortable with Riot. So that is how I'm looking to build a portfolio. So right now, the way that it stands is SoFi is free to run and Riot is free to run, because I feel like these $16 calls are not going to get challenged. And I've got these 30 long calls. And I'm hoping to just keep doing this and doing this and doing this. But I am also in a position. Here to where I could essentially, the cover calls are going to expire. The cash secured puts are going to expire. And then I'm only going to have these long calls. And these long calls are worth 16,500 right now. So I'm also in a position to make this a one stock portfolio and not have any margin because I'm using $15,000 of margin. The long call on Riot is worth 16,000. And then what I could do is I could go back into margin again by buying an additional 30 calls on SoFi at 15, which would probably put me at, it'll tell me right here. So that's worth another 15. So I could essentially double my position on the long calls on SoFi. And then I could just use all the buying power to just cash grab, whether it's Riot, whether it's a Clean Spark, whatever opportunities out there, I could just cash grab my way. And then this could just literally be a one stock portfolio. But right now, I'm not looking to do that because I think that there's a lot of juice left in this lemon here on Riot. So that's the thing in a nutshell. So that's kind of the way that I'm playing it. And I think that I can get this account. If I didn't do anything before I made these moves, this account was going to be at 135,000 by the end of the year, provided that Riot was over 15 and SoFi was over 15 because there was 6,000 shares of Riot, or I'm sorry, 6,000 shares of SoFi and 3,000 shares of Riot. But I switched the Riot shares into Leaps. And then I wanted to position myself to be able to buy some Leaps on SoFi so that I could participate in more upside on SoFi. So that's kind of what I've opted to do. But that is the move that I'm looking to make. So if Riot were to pump to like 18, 19, 20, like very, very quickly, and SoFi hasn't really pumped yet, and I look up and I'm up like $7,000 or $8,000 on these Leaps, I may strongly consider doing what I just talked about and closing everything out on Riot and moving that margin over to SoFi by just buying more long calls. That way I could just like cheer for SoFi and I'll know that, hey, I'm just going to let these shares get called away. Don't give a damn. And then I would just ride the Leaps and call it good. And that would be the fastest way, I think, to get to that $250,000 mark. So that's the idea. That's the idea in a nutshell. Let me check in. Somebody's asking about the average on SoFi. 7 something, I think. 713, maybe 718. Yeah, 713. 713. And a lot of y'all that have followed me, y'all saw this thing happen. Y'all saw this thing happen where I tried like all kinds of things and I finally landed on SoFi. And it was like, it was just going to be a one, just that was the only thing I was going to do, just SoFi. But then the opportunity with Riot was just too good. So I couldn't pass it up. And then we kept going. Anyway, what's going on, Megan? What's going on, Ben? What's going on, G-Man? What's going on, Jay? What's going on, Manuel? Ben again. Good morning, Jonathan. Good morning. Any idea where Neo is red? I don't know. The sentiment probably just sucks, guys. Neo is going to be close to 1 million cars by the end of the year total. So I just think that Neo might be a year away still. Fundamentals are getting better. The story's getting better, but the sentiment sucks, and nothing moves the market like sentiment. Anyway, what's going on, Mark? SoFi and Riot looking good. I'm telling you. They really are. What's going on, Shamu? What up, Mr. International? Larry, making 4 to 10K a month, which I'm happy with. But how'd you figure out scaling up shares or options? Man, it's just trial and error. Trial and error. What's going on, Mr. Premium? Hope everything's going well. Get into it. Amit News Network, right? ANN. That's funny. Isn't that funny that out of the money means you're making money? I know. Isn't that silly? Isn't that silly? I close margin puts at 50%. Yeah, it's nothing. You know, that's solid. That's solid little rule of thumb right there. I don't know that that's a rule of thumb for me, but that's kind of seems that's kind of how it works. Like as soon as I'm over 50 and I'm like, I don't really have the money for these, you know, to make good on these cash secured puts. Now, obviously in the bigger account, it's a lot more money to work with. But yeah, that's the thing. You know, that's the thing. Nice, man. I'm going to put that in my tool bag. Appreciate you, Slim Futures. What's going on, Dex? What up, Vince? Drew Nation. TJ, do you sell puts up to any price on so far? Do you have a limit strike? Good question. No more than 15. No more than 15. I'm just not comfortable. Need to start buying some leaves. I've been too scared they'll go down when I could be making lots of money on days like today. Yeah, it's one of those things. Uh, now is not the time. Yeah, agreed. It's all situational, guys. It is all situational. I think that SoFi still presents an opportunity to where you can make some money with the leaps, but the big money has already been made. I bought those leaps over a year ago, so it's one of those things. So cash secured puts. But if you want to make more money, owning the shares and selling covered calls makes you a lot more money than cash secured puts, because you have two ways to make money, right? You have the shares working for you, the capital appreciation, and then you also have the covered call premium. Whereas on cash secured puts, the only thing that you could ever make is the cash secured put premium. So there's that. Underwater for 10 years without drowning. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Oh man, it's crazy. It's crazy. Hey, Mr. International, appreciate you. Let's get some high rolling right on. Anyway, appreciate you, Maria. I'm gonna reach out to you, Maria, so we can do a FaceTime. I know we were supposed to do that a couple weeks ago, and I just got super, super busy. But I'm gonna reach out to you today. I've got a little bit of time today. Hopefully, you're available. What's going on, Hugo? TJ, what percentage profit do you plan to lock in your swing trades at? Real good question. 25 to 50%. 25 to 50% is always what I'm going for on swing trades. I don't try to hit home runs on swing trades, guys. These are base hits. I go by taste. I like it. So 30 to 45 days out. Manage the trades 21 days to expiration, and they're like, you get to that 50%, you're out of there. The first 50% is a lot easier to get than the second 50%. Very cool, Maria. I love cash secure puts, but because I have so much conviction in my positions, that's the thing. But what helps me, Bobby, with the cover calls is just having the leaps to protect against the cover calls. See, so there was right with Velez, there was there's other reasons to buy leaps, right? Or is to protect against covered calls. Is this an opportune time to buy leaps in the market? No. But if you're running, the wheeling strategy, and you're going to be like really, really aggressive with your covered calls, then that's where that there's an opportunity there. There's an opportunity there where you're buying leaps as insurance. It's kind of like whenever you're hedging the portfolio to the downside, buying puts as a form of insurance is not a bad thing to do. Dallas was asking me on the last Wheelers, why don't you hedge? And I was like, because we haven't really had to, right? We've been in a huge bull market, so I don't want to be squandering all of that money buying puts. It's just not the right situation to do that. What's going on, G Money? G Money went to the groomers yesterday, so he's got his little handkerchief on and everything. He wanted to say hi to everybody. He's sorry that he shits on AMD, but he just thinks that SOXL is the better value for the money. Right, Bubba? Short day. Hi, Papito. Go beat up mommy. Go bite mommy because she was a bad girl in the gym. Go tell her daddy said. Anyway. That dog, man. I tell you, man, those dogs will melt your heart and your wallet. Ugh, man. What a money pit, those dogs. Try to have right. Oh my gosh. So I'm telling you, man, I'd have lost my shit. Oh, y'all are crazy. Anyway, guys, I gotta get going. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. I'm trying to keep these lives under an hour because I feel like my energy just drops a lot and I'm just tired. Hey, baby doll. So anyway, I got to get rocking and rolling. Got to get these dogs fed. Got to go do life. Anyway, TJ the Wheel Deal signing off as always. May your sky stay blue, stock screen. Peace out. God bless you guys.